Hello, you got Mr. Smith, point five of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And in this brief video, I want to talk about the 5 keys to perfect credit. 750 plus credit. That's perfect credit. And it goes all the way to 850. But I want to give you 5 keys that it takes to get that perfect credit score. Now, why is this important? Because so many times we see and hear people talk about or brag about how they got certain things removed off of their credit. And that's great, but that's only one key. That's only one piece to the overall puzzle. And sometimes that's not the best thing to do. Getting things removed sometimes removes the good stuff. So unless a person is only removing what's affecting your credit, then they may be doing your credit a disservice. So let's talk about the 5 keys to a perfect credit score. Key number 1 is payment history. Now, payment history attributes to 35% of your credit score. So this is where a lot of people play. This is the area where a lot of people focus on when they say they're getting things removed. Hopefully it's the negative payment history that they're removing. But this is a important piece to the pie because it takes up 35%. Payment history. So what is payment history? Payment history is your history of payment. How well have you been paying off certain debts? And at this day and age, it's not even based on debt alone. It can be how well you've previously paid your rent. They've even taken it a step further to where certain companies are allowing you to show your cell phone payment history, your utility payment history, because they just want to see that you have the ability to pay for something over a duration of time on time. So payment history is number 1. The second key is credit utilization. And what is credit utilization? How much or how well are you utilizing your credit? So it's exactly how it sounds. Now, the key word in credit utilization is utilization. How are you using your credit? So it needs to be something that's being used. A key example or a simple example is as it relates to your credit card. How much of your credit limit is being utilized? I like to give a $10,000 credit limit example. And if a person has a $10,000 credit limit, but they've used 9,000 of it, then that's 90% credit utilization. That does not look good on your credit. What you want to try to do is stay under 30%. Some people say divide it by 3 and stay under that. Some people say stay under 20%. Less is more in this case. The lower your credit utilization, the better it is for your score. Why is this important? Because this applies, or this is what affects 30% of your credit. So you got payment history that affects 35%. But the second piece is credit utilization, and that's 30%. So those first two alone is 65% of what counts towards your credit score. So you got to understand the power in that. Now, a person who has a credit limit of 10,000, but their credit utilization or the amount that they have spent on their credit card only is $2,000, that looks good and that makes their credit score go up. It's 2 ways to make your credit utilization look good. One way, of course, is just paying it down. If you have the ability to pay it down and knock it below a certain amount, do so, because that makes your credit look good. The other way is, and you have to have decent credit to do this and decent standings with your lender in order to make this happen. But another way to do it is increasing your credit limit. So if you have a $10,000 credit limit and you've spent $9,000 on it, but you have the ability to get that credit limit increased to $15,000 or $20,000, it automatically lowers your credit utilization because you're using less due to the new limit that you have. Now you have to be strategic about doing it, but it does work. Key number 3, credit history. This just based on time. This is based strictly on time. How long of a credit history do you have? So what really applies in this area is age. A person who is 30 years old or 40 years old, they've had more time to accumulate more credit, and they've had enough time to allow to be reflected on their credit score. And the credit history just basically says, how long and how well have you been doing over this duration of time? Now, there is a solution to this, even though you may not be at an age to where you've had a lot of credit history, or you haven't accumulated a lot of debt to prove your credit history. And that's what we call piggyback. And sometimes you can be added on as an authorized user, and that authorized user, or the person who allows you to be an authorized user, has the credit history that you need, and you can piggyback off of their good credit history, and over time it helps enhance yours. And this is a smaller percentage of what goes to your credit score, but it's a key piece to the puzzle, so you definitely got to focus on that. That's just 3. What's key number 4? Key number 4 is new credit. Sometimes when you look at those other things, you might have to apply for some new credit in order to make sure that you have a variation of things that are contributing to you having good credit. So it could be something as simple as getting a secure credit card, or doing getting up some furniture, just anything that shows that you will be engaging in a new agreement with an entity that will reflect your ability to make payments on time. So acquiring new credit is a percentage, and this is something you definitely have to be concerned with as well, because it all leads to key number 5, and that's credit mixture. And if you do all of those things right, you will have enough credit mixture. Anyway, what is credit mixture? It's basically diversification. You want to have different types of credit. Do you have installment credit? Do you have revolving debt? Revolving debt is basically your credit cards. Installment debt is your car loans or mortgages. That's installment debt. Do you have a mixture of those things? How good are you at balancing multiple credit types? So keep those things to perspectives. Those are the 5 keys to having perfect credit. Now, if you want to know how we go about really focusing on those 5 keys like no one else does it, there'll be a link available in the bio or down below the video that'll give you access to how we go about it. And if it's something that you think you can benefit from, then follow those steps as well. But in addition to that, we will have a link that just pretty much gives you the blueprint to really making this happen for yourself without having to worry or rely on someone else. And if you don't happen to see that link available, just request it. Just say, hey, I'm interested in this. How can I go about doing this? And we'll be glad to share anything that we feel can benefit you, because having good credit is something that allows you to own a piece of America, whether that's having ownership in a home, a mortgage that you can pass down, or use the equity in that home, whether that's leveraging the credit to acquire property, assets, land, business credit, starts with your personal credit a lot of times. So those are some things that we know are important to people as they are on the mission to accumulate personal financial success. So we just want to be a vehicle to help you get to where you're trying to go faster. That concludes this video. Mr. Smith signing out.